It's not smart basketball no more. I saw a clip not too long ago where Kobe said, like, yo, it's accidental basketball. He couldn't have been more right. It was so refreshing to play against Bron because every possession is like a chess match. But you don't just get that on a regular basis. It's just who can run faster, who can hit more threes. It's no substance. And so I think it's very boring.
Draymond said so much, who cares what Draymond says? He doesn't mean anything. People, this is what I mean, one guy can say this and one guy can say that. The game is what it is. People either like the game or they don't, and I think people enjoy the game, especially if their team can win. And you look at the basketball, it might be boring to him because if he's not passing the ball to Curry, what is he doing?
I agree. Triple single is
not to single that out because I think he knows how to play basketball, but he's passed his ball to Curry more than anyone I've ever seen in basketball.
Well, there's that. So strong comments from Dre and then even stronger by the Big O. S.A., I'll start with you on this one. Do you feel like Oscar Robertson's comments there were fair or foul? Passing the ball to Steph Curry a lot.
There are figures in professional sports that when they speak, you listen. It doesn't matter what they say. You must take it seriously. Now, his flippant comment about Draymond Green is something that the average viewer can dismiss, but you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, who was talking. Oscar Robertson, put UD and Shannon up on the screen, please. Oscar Robertson is one of the greatest players to have ever lived. Oscar Robertson was the first person who averaged a triple-double in a season. He was the record that Russell Westbrook ultimately captured and eclipsed. He's a 3-time All-Star Game MVP. He's a champion. He's a league MVP. He's an 11-time All-NBA selection in 14 seasons. He's a Hall of Famer. He averaged 25, 9, and 7 in his career, and no three-pointers were allowed. The three-point shot didn't exist then. That's who we're talking about. But you know who else we're talking about, guys? A person that is universally recognized as the father of free agency. It was him who served as the president of the Players Association from 1965 to 1974. It was him who filed a class action suit against the league who were hindering the rights of players. The freedom that the players ultimately have and exercised, a LeBron, a KD, a Kyrie, the list goes on, where you have the freedom to go to another team without that old team holding on to your rights into perpetuity. Back in the day, fellas, the team could sit up there and say, listen, we ain't paying you. All right, well, you could leave for elsewhere. No, you can't, because we have your rights anyway. It was Oscar Robertson who put his name and his career on the line. And a lot of times we see the league celebrating him now. But for decades, Oscar Robertson wasn't treated with the reverence and the respect he deserved because of the class action suit he filed against the league. And so when we take that into consideration, why would he feel the need to respond to Draymond like that? Because what he's saying to Draymond is, you see all this money you brothers are getting paid? You see the freedoms that you have? You see the power that you wield? Respect the game. Don't talk about the game in that way. You can talk about the effort that the players need to give, but to talk about the game and to call your own product boring, thereby compromising potentially the bottom line of the product, gets in the way of everything we worked to accomplish for you guys all these years. That is the Oscar Robertson who was talking. And knowing who he is and what he stands for, that's when you stand down and you just listen.
I mean, this is who he is. Stephen A., he's always been like this. He's going to tell, and he doesn't have a filter, and the older you get, the less filter that you have.
He's 86 years old.
I'm tired of Draymond. I'm tired of, he's basically saying, I'm tired of Draymond talking. Let somebody else be the voice of the NBA. Why does he have to be the voice of the NBA? Because, yeah, it's boring. Because all you do is pass the ball to Steph Curry. All you do is send picks for Steph. So, yeah, it's pretty boring to you. But for other players, it's not boring. And look, I agree with some of what Draymond said. It seems like the league is just up and down, shooting a bunch of threes. They're launching 50, 60 threes a game, and it's not fun. You see 73s between the two teams that's being taken, UD. It is not good basketball, but I'm not surprised that Oscar Robertson said what he said and in the manner in which he said it. Now, at the end, he kind of got a little, maybe saying some things in jest, but I guarantee you, he absolutely meant everything that he said. I don't have a problem with Draymond saying what he said. He's entitled to his opinion, but you also have to understand the Big O is also entitled to his opinion. And he's looking at it like this, Stephen and guys. He said it was tough. Tough men create easy times. Easy times create easy men. Easy men create hard times all over again. He said, y'all see what y'all doing? Y'all putting it back instead of pushing it forward. Y'all bringing it back.
I got a lot of respect for Big O. I got a lot of respect for what he's done.
Right.
But what I'm going to say is I took a little offense to this because I'm a locker room guy, and I understand what connecting a locker room does. I understand what having a dog in your locker room does. I understand what leadership does. I understand what a guy like Draymond brings to the Golden State Warriors. We're talking about a guy who since 2012 has been on 8 all-defensive teams. We're talking about a guy who was the Defensive Player of the Year in 2017. We're talking about a guy who has 4 rings. We're talking about a guy who can get 15 guys in the locker room to embody his personality and his mindset. And sometimes that takes you, not sometimes, all the time, that takes your team, that takes your locker room to a different level. Agree with Draymond, what he said, but don't downplay what he's accomplished. Don't downplay what he means. Don't downplay what a locker room guy means. Don't downplay what a guy that necessarily doesn't score as many points, but still makes winning plays. We cannot downplay what Draymond Green has brought to the league, what he has brought to the Golden State Warriors. So I would say to Big O, yes, I agree with you. Teams do not have the personnel to play the way they are playing. And yes, it is hard to watch. Yes, it is boring sometimes. I agree with Draymond on that. But what I will say to Big O is Draymond has earned his stripes. Draymond has done everything that he is supposed to do to put himself in a position to speak the way he speaks, and that's why people listen.
Well, GD, let me say, first of all, I appreciate your comments because you're absolutely right. Draymond's a 4-time champion. Draymond's going to the Hall of Fame. Draymond knows how to play the game of basketball.
2 gold medals.
Shooting 2 gold medals. Shooting ain't everything. Take out the shooting portion and tell me what Draymond doesn't do. Draymond's a point forward. Draymond dribbles that basketball. Draymond passes that basketball. Draymond rebounds that basketball. Draymond defends against oppositions on a very elite level. There is no question he's a Hall of Famer. There is no doubt about that. But the only reason I'm clapping back in terms of what Oscar Robertson said is because I was omitting that part, UD. I was looking at what basically his response, the flavor and the vibe of his response was. He was coming to the defense of the league because he's saying, do you understand what efforts were put in place in order for you to be in the position where you could talk about the game like that? There's sacrifices that were made that far preceded a Draymond Green. And you know this, UD, because of the conversations that I'm sure you have had with Hall of Famers who are old school cats. And you know they will tell you in a heartbeat the suffering that they endured on behalf of the future and the players to follow and the pathway that they set. You know they're ultra sensitive to that. So anything that you do that they believe will compromise what the product has been built into is something they're going to take extreme offense towards. And as Shannon pointed out, when he was talking about Oscar Robertson is older, let me be specific. He's 86. He's 86 years old, and he's sitting there thinking about all that so many have endured for Draymond to be in a position. And basically that was his way of saying, protect the game. Protect, Draymond, what you've assisted in help building as well. Protect it. That's what he was saying.
But he went a little too far.
He did.
He could have stopped with that.
He did.
He could have stopped with that.
No disagreement.
The downplay what Draymond has accomplished and what Draymond has done, I think that's where he had to draw the line.
I agree with you. I agree with you there.
Yeah.